Diary of a Recovering Food Addict. Past 20 years of everything I've learned about food obsession and clean eating and, the yo-yoing back and forth of going raw, just what I've learned about, developing more of a healthy relationship with nourishing my body. We have like this epidemic of food obsession and food addiction in our culture, in our world. There's nothing wrong with recipes and things like that. I don't think every person is addicted, but we do have addiction. There is food addiction. And it's the one that kind of goes unnoticed and is most normalized because everybody has to eat, which also makes it the hardest to overcome. And through my 20-year journey, I don't know if we ever really overcome this addiction that we have towards food. Oh, that looks so good. It's like, what is that craving inside of us that wants that comfort, that wants the dopamine fix, that wants the entertainment, that wants to numb or whatever it is? It's not necessarily going to go away, so I don't think there's any like cure for this. Like, I mean, even people who do really long fasts and, so-called breatharians, a lot of them go back to eating food because they miss the culture of it. They miss the community aspect of it. There's just something about food in our culture that we're so attached to, and it has this obsession. And as I went from, standard American Italian family, lots of processed food and junk food, I went to vegan. And what did I do? What does everybody do? We have our favorite foods, and then we make recipes to try to have a healthier substitute. And then we're trying not to fall off. We're trying to stay on our diet, and that's where all this yo-yoing comes from. And why is it so hard to give up certain foods, right? And we don't even realize that we have this addiction until we start to switch our diet and we start to eat healthier foods, how much of a hold these, sugars and oils and salts and processed foods and candy and whatever it is, like a lot of it is emotional attachment. A lot of it has to do with childhood. A lot of it has to do with love. I see people feeding children who aren't even hungry. The airplane and shoving the food in the baby's mouth, and the baby's like not doesn't even want it, So and then what do we do when a baby cries? The first thing we do, we shove a bottle in its mouth. Since birth, we've been trained to soothe ourselves with food, and we continue to do that. So food is no longer about nourishment in our culture, in our society. I'm not saying that this is for everyone. I'm just saying, like, majority, we don't question why we're eating. We don't question, is this nourishing my body? Am I actually hungry? Am I full? Have I had enough? Why am I eating this? Everything has to revolve around food. Can we go to a restaurant and not eat if we're not hungry? Can we go to a party and have a conversation without, having to have a plate and snacking on something in our hand? I have these tests in the book and everything, like, we have the movie theater test. Why do we even need to eat while we're watching a movie or we're watching TV? Why does everything kind of have to revolve around food? The grocery store test, you have like an idea of what you want at the grocery store, and then you go in and you get kind of pulled in by this, and then you end up getting stuff that you don't even need. Same thing with like the restaurant. You have the bread basket, you've got the appetizers. It's like a whole experience. And then food becomes the center of entertainment. It kind of takes up mental space, it takes up spiritual space, it takes up all this space inside of us. And then there's this filter between us and reality. When we become obsessed with food, it interferes with our relationships, it interferes with intimacy. I'm a lot better now because I've been really working at it, but a lot of times in the past, I couldn't even be present. Present with my loved ones, my kids, my husband, whatever it was, because I'm thinking about food. As soon as we go out, I'm like, ooh, what kind of restaurants are there? What's this? And, we're just always looking for something where we have to find, the next fix. When I went raw, the first time, well, many times, because over the past 15 years, I've gone raw so many times, but it was always about what recipe can I make to curb the craving so that I'm not craving the addictive foods that I'm trying to get over. And that's not really, the best way to kind of overcome this addiction is like replacing it with something else. Not saying it's bad. Like some people can eat something and then they're done. Other people, they can't stop. It really there is a binge type addiction that comes with food. There is a lot of things lighting up in the brain. My husband said the word Whole Foods the other day. Literally in that moment, I thought of these vegan veggie egg rolls on the hot bar section, and I'm trying to eat really clean. But in that moment, my whole plan went out the window. I'm like, ooh, Whole Foods. Yeah, I want to get the veggie egg rolls. And I'm like, and then I had to stop myself. I'm like, wait, no, you're eating structured meals. You're eating twice a day. You're not snacking between your meals, So it's like we completely forget there's a part of us that, wants to eat a certain way. And then there's a part of us that forgets in the moment. And then once you find out, the craving takes over and you're like, I don't even care anymore. I want that. I'm going to go out of my way to get that. Or gone extreme health and then gone all the way back to standard American diet or, cooked junk food, vegan, whatever it is, just yo-yoing back and forth for years. And I'm like, why isn't this working? Because every time I go raw, everyone's like, well, you can eat as much as you want. And that was my motto too. I'm like, I could eat as much as I want. It's raw. It's healthy. I could eat raw cheesecakes all day. And that's what I was doing. I was making dehydrated pizzas and raw cheesecakes all day. And my food addiction didn't go away. Mm-hmm. So that way, when I ended up falling back, because I never actually got to the root of my addiction, fell back to junk food vegan, I'm eating everything because it's like I trained my brain to just eat as much as I want. Even when you go to a fruit-based diet, the cure that everybody says for overcoming your addictions is eat more fruit, eat more sweet fruit, eat more calories. That didn't work for me either, Sure. So then I really had to get to the bottom of this and really see what triggers me. You have to be so mindful, so present, so alert. It's not even about what you eat. It could be how you eat it. Are we eating when we watch TV? Are we eating while we're having a conversation? Are we eating at a restaurant where there's a lot of stimulation? Everybody's picking up the appetizers and the bread basket or whatever it is. Are we eating while we're emotionally a wreck? Are we sitting down? Are we being present? Are we showing, gratitude for the meal? Are we preparing our food with love? Are we tuning into our hunger signals to feel when we've had enough? And can we stop? So it's not even about, because here I was thinking like, okay, I'm getting really clean. I'm going to go from, eating plant-based, and then I'm going to go to eating a fruitarian diet. I want to eventually become a breatharian. But it's like, do I actually want to be a breatharian? Or do I want the freedom from food, right? I don't want food to control my life. And I think a lot of people who have food addiction kind of go into the extreme because they can't stop, so they're like, I'm going to go to eating fruit because I can eat as much as I want, but they still haven't got to the root of like, what is it that I need to be eating constantly, even when I'm not hungry? And then knowing why you're eating. So the thing with the simple structured meals that you do with your salads, it makes sense because the more variety we have, for some people it's okay, but if you're a recovering food addict, too much variety or too many flavors or too many seasonings or whatever could be a trigger for overeating. I think the important thing is to keep your meals structured. So you have like, this is a meal, you eat something with a meal, you eat it as a meal, and then eliminating the snacking, and then not eating when you're not hungry. If you're not hungry, don't eat. The thing with the simplifying the meal, and you mentioned the food addiction recovery soup that I've been eating, it just happened. Like I just kept trying to figure out like what's spiking my blood sugar, what's causing cravings. Like when I eat something, does it make me satisfied or does it make me want to go out searching for something else? So let's say the soup ingredients that I made, I blended it. If I eat them like, bell peppers and celery sticks and what else is in there? Tomatoes. And if I just ate them like picking them up and eating them, it has this hand to mouth snack like loop, which is a trigger for me. But when I blend it, I don't feel that. So that's why I've been blending it into a soup, because it's not triggering for me. So everyone is going to be different. You have to be aware of like what your triggers are. That's why like keeping it simple with the soup, Now I'm not thinking like, what am I going to make for dinner? I don't have to think about it. So planning ahead of time, like what your meals are going to be, and then sticking to that. And then you're like, that's it. This is what I'm having for dinner. Once I'm done, kitchen closed. It is a journey of self-discovery more than anything. Changing your diet and getting clean, cleaning your body is so powerful, like physically, mentally, spiritually, energetically. You're going to have relapses. It's totally normal. Over the past 20 years that I've been plant-based and like on and off raw, I can't tell you how many times I've relapsed. I can't tell you how many times I fell off and I went on a binge or did this, or ate foods that I didn't want to eat, or whatever it is, right? So, but
It's
now
not linear, right?
it's not linear. But now if I look at myself, compare it to where I was, like you said, 5 years ago, or 10 years ago, 20 years ago, I'm like a completely different person because I didn't give up. You make a decision, you work at it, you're going to fail, and you get back up and you do it again. And you just keep doing that. And then over time, you're going to see the changes in your appearance. You're going to see the changes in your body. You're going to see the changes in your mood. You're going to see the changes in the relationships around you, because what you eat affects everything in your life. This is in the book as well, is that what you eat affects your state. You're going to have a different experience based on what you put in your body. If you're eating nutritious meals, you're going to have one experience of life. You're going to see the world through that filter. If you're eating heavy fried, animal products with, tons of junk food, candy, sugar, processed foods, your experience of life is going to be completely different. You're going to see your relationships through this filter. You're not even going to experience direct reality because there's a filter between you and direct reality, which is interesting because now we're talking about how food is affecting your overall quality of life. Honestly, it's life-changing. These recipes are important because I do think that there is a level of like a gradual transition period that you have to kind of go through, because the addiction is so strong that you could try to go cold turkey, which a lot of people can, but a lot of times people can't. I couldn't. I did go cold turkey, but then because I didn't work through my my addiction, I ended up yo-yoing back so many times. That's why I think giving this up and then giving this up, adding more plant-based foods into your diet, giving something else up, giving up processed food, giving up fast food, whatever it is. And then you start eating, more whole food, plant-based. Then you can start adding more raw into your diet. So it's like that's what you're learning. You're learning, like as you start eliminating something in your diet, you're like kind of feeling like, why was I even eating that? It's interesting. We never ask, why do we eat something? Especially when it comes to animal products. Like most people have just been indoctrinated, from their families to eat. They don't know. Children don't even know what they're eating. Same thing with dairy, with the commercials and things. It's a big industry. Dairy industry is big, meat industry is big. So they make money off of you eating it. People don't ask why they even eat something. It's important to transition because there are different levels to things, and especially if you're just starting out. I wish I knew though, like what I knew now about the food addiction stuff and mindful eating, and I wish I had put those practices into place before I went raw. Like get really good at plant-based before even trying to transition to raw. That's what I wish I would have done, because I don't think I would have yo-yoed back and forth so many times. I did want to say that how important I feel that it is to prepare your own meals as well, because the restaurants are going to put a ton of salt, ton of oil, ton of sugar, ingredients you don't even know. You don't know what kind of oils they're using. And a lot of the foods that they create are like specifically engineered to make you want to eat more, to make you, like it smells good. It looks good. Like, obviously the food that we make at home is also going to smell good and look good, but we have more control over what the ingredients are. We have more control over how much we put in. We can measure if we're using salt, we can measure that out. We can choose not to use oil if we want to go oil-free. I just think it's so important to put the love into your food. I'm eating the food addiction recovery soup. I'm actually adding some cooked brown rice to the raw soup. It's interesting. So it's a raw soup. I'm adding some cooked brown rice to it right now, just because, you know, I'm in this not never-ending recovery of food addiction. It works for me though. It's stabilizing my blood sugar. I'm not having any cravings. I feel satisfied. Like I can go out and I don't feel like I want to go like searching for food. We went to the movie theater the other day and I did not eat anything during the movie. And, you know, I'm trying to eat dinner before Daniel comes home from work because he gets home late. So one, I don't want to eat too late. And two, I just want to end the habit of having to eat while I'm watching our show or a movie like that. So occasionally I'll do it, but I'm trying to break that habit so that I eat before. I'm mindfully eating. I'm eating in peace and quiet. And, you know, I'm blessing my food. And then he comes home, he eats while we're watching TV. And then I'm sitting there sipping water or something, you know, and I never would be able to do that before, you know. So what you eat and how you eat it really matters. My book, Diary of a Recovering Food Addict, it is a complete paradigm shift, a complete mindset shift. So just letting everybody know, because it's not a diet book. There's no recipe. I mean, there's my one recipe, the food addiction recovery soup in the back, but it's mainly to kind of reprogram your mind of how you view food. And it does have like tips in there of like, you know, how to get to the root of it, the addiction. So that's kind of, you know, what I've been learning over the past 20 years. And I made this amazing book and I hope you guys all love it.
Yeah.